Sports Syndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Belegian.
All right, what is up, Shep? I'm done. I'm serious. I am done trying to figure out what's going on. I am heeding my own advice. I like I said it at the end of the year. Stop trying to think about it. Stop trying to make sense of it. Accept it. It's October. It's happening, and the Tigers are going to be in Cleveland on Saturday. How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable for most people. My expectations were really high before the season. I don't think anybody had expectations August 10th. Nobody saw this coming, and now I would guess, Sean, not many people or other teams want to play the Tigers. I ask you this: when you look at the American League, and not that I had this revolutionary idea August 11th, okay, but when you look at the American League, has there been that one dominant team that you can pinpoint to?
No.
Baltimore was really good, and yet Kansas City struggled a little bit going into the playoffs, and yet Kansas City allows them to score just one run and wins in a sweep. Remember in 2022 when the Dodgers won 111 games and San Diego beat them and knocked them out? Sometimes it just doesn't make sense, and sometimes it's about matchups. And the Tigers got a really good matchup, Sean, even though I did not expect it to be a good matchup. Houston had won 4 out of 6. Houston had 581 playoff games collectively under their belt. The Tigers had 12. It didn't seem to make much sense, but why try and figure it out, embrace it, and root them on Saturday against Cleveland?
It is, Shep, that this recipe is unbelievable. And I also need to remind people, let's not forget, there were some murmurs and whisperings about the mighty Yankees firing their manager just a couple months ago.
That's right.
When they went in their midseason swoon. So,
Good
I mean,
point.
it's amazing how things can happen. Shep, the recipe, I think we know around here, you and I have talked about it, the recipe for success the last couple of months, but I think for everybody to see it nationally, is makes it more special to me because listen, who doesn't know that Andy Ibanez is the last hitter that you want to face in a high leverage situation? Who does? There is no doubt in my mind that Andy Ibanez was going to come up there, being the professional hitter that he is, and slap that down the line and have a bases clearing triple.
So two things about that, though. Two things about that. One, I thought that the Tigers got a huge break on the pitch before the double. I thought it was a strike. So a huge break there. Because let's face it, I mean, if you're a Tigers fan, and that's Tarek Skubal on the mound, and he's facing Alex Bregman. Not that Andy Ibanez is the equivalent right-handed hitter. You want that pitch, right? Okay, so that's one. Second of all, I don't know what Josh Hader's thinking. What's his best pitch? Everybody knows it's the slider. Perhaps Ibanez's looking slider. 97-mile-an-hour cutter. I don't understand why you're throwing that pitch. So Tigers got a little bit of a break in both those situations, just like they were unlucky, by the way, in the 7th on what transpired in that inning that had everybody who wears an English D at some point in their life or has one over their left shoulder like Sean Belegian does, and they're going, why in the world are you putting him in? Which I didn't have a problem with. But, I mean, those are some of the nuances in baseball that happen. I mean, look what happened with Milwaukee yesterday, Sean. I mean, holy crap. You get that Mitchell 2-run homer, right? Who saw that coming? Who would have thought Kyle Higashioka would homer in back-to-back games for San Diego?
Right.
It's just, I mean, it's a crazy situation, but Tigers fans have to be loving it, right?
I want to get in particular into the Jackson Jobe thing because you and I agree with this. And I know it's not going to be the popular sentiment, but whenever something like this happens, I've done this for years. I always ask people to look at the flip side of it because it's easy to do it after the fact, but I want you to look at the flip side of it. Before we even get into that, Shep, I joked with my friends. I was texting some buddies during the game and you and I were exchanging some texts and I said, okay, this looks vaguely familiar in the 7th inning. And it wasn't so much Jobe as it was like, Okay, blunder there, blunder. Things that we have seen attached to this team, sadly, if we're being honest, for far too long, there were circumstances that kind of led to that situation. Make no mistake about it. But let's jump into it. The Jackson Jobe situation. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I always would get Jim Leland's back, as crazy as he made me sometimes with some of his decisions. And you and I could do a whole show where I could bring up 10,000 different things. I always think back to, it was opening day 2012, and Justin Verlander's just sailing. And they put in Jose Valverde. And nobody was complaining in the moment that they did that.
Right.
Valverde blew the game. The Tigers had to win an extra innings, blah, 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 blah. People were going nuts after the game. And I said, now hold on. In fairness to Jim Leland, this is a guy that was perfect last year. Perfect in save situations. Ask yourself this question. And that's what I said to some guys yesterday. If Jackson Jobe comes in there and pitches a clean inning, okay, clean inning, do you know what everybody's going to be talking about? What a genius AJ Hinch is, and everything he's done the last 2 months has been right. Like knock it off. I'm sorry, I didn't have a problem with that move, Shep. I just didn't.
Yeah, neither did I. It's not that AJ Hinch is perfect or any manager's decision shouldn't be second guessed. Baseball probably happens more than any other sport. AJ and I actually had this conversation last year. I've had it with NFL coaches. I've had it with NBA coaches. Not as much NHL coaches, but people are always asking, especially like John Beeline sometimes didn't guard the inbound pass. How do you not guard the inbound pass? And then suddenly you see Wisconsin hit a half court. So there's always that second guessing. Here's what I always ask people. If not him, who?
Yeah.
Okay. And here's the other thing you have to recognize. So he comes in, he grazes Caratini, right? The jersey. Little soft, but okay. Next batter, flares one to center, Jeremy Pena. Okay, they're like, okay, nothing solid there. Then there's the bunt that McKinstry should have fielded better.
100%.
Right? The grounder, the short hopper to Torkelson. Jake Rogers should have caught that ball. Then the sacrifice fly down the first base line. Matt Vierling double pumps, double clutches. Otherwise, the runner's out.
Yep.
How much different is that? Somebody said to me last night, you got to get him out of there. I said, no, he's got strikeout stuff. You leave him in to get the strikeout, and then you hope for the double play on, some of his spin stuff. If people, I saw somebody on social media last night say, I hope he apologizes to Jackson Jobe. Why? I ask you this? Did he look like he was overwhelmed? No. Did he? I don't think so.
No.
He had really good stuff. Listen, Ryan Presley has rings, dude. Ryan Presley's a money player for Houston. He fell apart.
100%.
Josh Hader signed a 5-year, $95 million deal that is the second largest for a reliever in Major League history. Did he look overwhelmed? He looked like he lost his stuff. Okay. Jackson Jobe, I don't think looked overwhelmed at all. All I ask people is, if you don't want him, why is he on the roster? And who are you going to put instead of him on the roster? And then if you don't want him in that situation, who do you want? You've already used Vest. Do you want Ty Madden? He's a rookie too. Tell me who you want instead of Jackson Jobe. And don't say anybody, because you've had guys who've thrown on a regular basis and wearing down. Jason Foley, the game before, fell apart. So all I'm asking people is, instead of saying you can't put him in that situation, have a solution for me so we can have an intelligent conversation.
Shep, you know what my answer is. Can I answer that question? You know what my answer is.
Yeah.
When in doubt, Bo Brisky. Just go Bo Brisky. Everything will be okay.
Yeah,
you're fine. Bo Brisky's coming in. Okay, cool. Listen, I got some things to do around the house. I'll check back in next inning, because I know Bo Brisky's going to come in and do the job.
Yeah. If he doesn't get the win, yeah, he's a witch. He's a warlock. If he doesn't get the win, he's going to get the save. Now, Alan sends us a note and says he feels bad for Joe. Okay. It was his third ever MLB start. It wasn't a start. It was a release situation. So what? He was put in a tough spot. How is it tough? He's got a clean inning. It's 1-0. It's not going to hurt his confidence. This is not 2 years ago, Toronto. Tigers don't have a closer. AJ doesn't use one anyway. Puts in Trey Wingander. Trey Wingander looked like he shit his pants.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the spot for him, he was all over the map, couldn't control any pitch. The spot for him was overwhelming. Okay. This was not that situation. This was not that situation. Allen says, putting Gunther, the guy who closed out the inning. It's a pitch batter situation. Gunther's a lefty. Okay. Jackson Jobe is facing guys like Jeremy Pena, for example, as a righty. He wants AJ Hinch sees who Houston has coming up in the order. He also knows who Houston has on its bench. So there's a purpose on why he put the guy in at that specific time. Doesn't always work. We know that. But there's a reason he put him in at that specific time because of the matchups that are taking place. And if you don't like the matchups, or you don't like the fact that, you can't manage that way, that's the way he has always managed, at least with this team, because he doesn't have guys who are everyday players. Okay. Now, I would ask you this. Sean Gunther, who came in and did a nice job and has done a hell of a job as of late, even though most people would tell you, I have no idea who that man is. You didn't know that he had 1 year under his belt with Miami and that he hadn't pitched in the major leagues since 2021. Do you think that might be overwhelming for him, considering he's never been in that situation?
You know
pitch
how
the guy who's got good stuff, man. That guy has great stuff. Jackson Jobe. He's going to be just fine. And if that situation arose, I'd have no issue putting him in again. None.
Shep, I guarantee you, if I walked up to Jackson Jobe, whether with a microphone in my hand or away from the microphone, Jackson, come here, dude, seriously. How did you feel with AJ putting you in at that point in time?
Right.
There isn't a major leaguer alive, Shep. You know this better than anybody. Right. There isn't a major leaguer alive who wouldn't welcome that, who wants that. Give me the smoke. Give me the pressure. I believe in me. I'm at this point for a reason. I know I can get out of this stuff. And that's the way that I look at it.
I always stuff.
Yes, exactly. Bring it.
Every kid growing up, that's what you want. You want the penalty shot to win a game, right? You want the free throws from Emil Robinson at the end of a game. You want to command that final drive like Joe Montana against the Bengals. Sam Weiss is still having nightmares. And you want to be in that situation, pitching in that situation, maybe even a situation that is even more dire or much more pressure on it than that. They welcome it.
More comments from you. Want to take care of some business. First, let's talk about our friends at All About Catering. All About Catering, LLC, full-service caterer. Graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. They have taken care of me and my family. Trust me. I know Rick very well. Rick and his staff, second to none. Customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal. So don't sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see their menus and all their 5-star reviews. Give them a call, 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Mr. Positive, giving a shout out. Appreciate that. My Aunt Jeannie said, just go Bo Brisky. Listen, I'm not lying. What are you making for Thanksgiving? Well, I was thinking about a turkey. I think I'm going Bo Brisky.
I'm going to name my new meal Brisky.
Right.
It's not brisket. It's not brisket anymore. It's brisky.
Didn't you say brisket? No. I said brisky. Brisky. It is. No, Shep, all jokes aside, like, I get it. Like, I'm not trying to be the swarmy know-it-all, and I don't think you are either. But I think sometimes when emotions, are high and we're at a high leverage point, kind of take a step back and ask yourself, seriously, and Alan or anybody else, seriously, ask yourself, okay, if Job comes in and gets 1, 2, 3, and they get out of the inning, we're all talking about the brilliance of AJ Hinch yet again. It was a tough spot for him to be in, no doubt about that. But let's be honest, some of the things that happen, and Shep, you did it, chapter A, chapter B, chapter C, there was a lot more to that inning than just watching a kid go out there and struggle. I don't know what it does to confidence. Can I use Houston Street as an example?
Sure.
People
Yeah.
forget. Okay, do you remember who Maglio hit that home run off of?
Right.
There's a guy by the name of Houston Street who was
Pretty damn good. Yeah.
who was the rookie of the year before, who had a pretty darn good season in his second year, gave up that bomb and just walked off the mound. Well, it happens, and went on to have a pretty good and long, successful career from that. Now, I can't sit here definitively and tell you, oh my gosh, Jackson Jobe, his whole career is now on a different trajectory. I don't know. I don't got my crystal ball out, but I can guarantee you, to get at this point in time in his career, that kid's got a hell of a lot of confidence in himself, and I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Amen to that. At some point, and I know we don't always want it per se during our lifetime or during a nervous moment for us, but at some point, you have to get your feet wet in that regard, right?
Mhm.
Goose Gossage at some point, I don't know when the Hall of Famer's first postseason game was, but at some point he had to experience something like that. And even yet, with all that experience that he had, and he's one of the best closers in history, right?
Mhm.
Even yet, with all that experience, he still gave up a Kirk Gibson bomb.
Yeah.
That is one of the more memorable. Dennis Eckersley won a Cy Young, was one of the best closers in baseball, has been in that situation plenty, and yet he gave up one of the most memorable homers in baseball history. Again, if Jackson Jobe looked like he was crapping his pants, couldn't control any pitch like Framber Valdez couldn't in game one, and was getting hit hard, you take him out after 3 batters. I totally understand it. But he didn't. Okay? It was a bleeder to center field that might have broken the bat. It was a bunt, and it was a play that should have been made by the bunt. It should have been made at home plate as well. Think of that for a second. Let's say McKinstry makes the play. Okay? Runners at second and third, I believe, right? And then you get the ground ball to Torkelson, and the player holds at third base. Pena holds at third. Torkelson gets the out. And then the fly ball down the right field line. Or let's say McKinstry doesn't make the play, and Torkelson throws home, and Jake Rogers holds onto it.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Then the bases are still loaded. Fly ball right side down the foul line. Veerling catches it, doesn't double pump, or a slower runner is then at third instead of Pena and doesn't go. Suddenly there's 2 outs with the bases loaded. And then he gets the last guy. And I know the last guy is kind of who knows. But let's say that happened. What would we be saying today? Man,
Right.
The kid's got guts, man.
Right.
He got in trouble, got himself out. This is what I love about this team, Sean. They play with grit. Nothing phases them. I don't think the kid looked phased one bit.
No, I want to give you an example, Shep, and we'll show our age when we come back, of a pitcher like literally having a meltdown on the mound where somebody should have gotten him. And I hope you remember this. I like going in the Wayback Machine. I do. But when you said that, that's why I giggled, because there's one that like everybody and their brother could see the man was having a meltdown right in front of us. Let's talk about our friends at the Wealth Advantage Group. If you're ready to take charge of your financial future, those are the guys to talk to. That's Mike Husak and Jeff Husak from the Wealth Advantage Group. They're located in historic downtown Northville and owned by those 2 brothers with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, already in retirement, they can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life and have clients in over 20 different states. Look, the investment world, it is a complex one. So if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, then it might be time to work with the experts. Reach out to my friends at the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574, or check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Shep, 86 World Series, watching Calvin Schiraldi of the Boston Red Sox on a 45-degree night sweat like it was 145 degrees. I remember vividly watching that going, Oh my gosh. I was like 15 years old, man. I remember watching that going, was it John McNamara? It was like going, dude, you
Oh,
got to get him out.
he was
You
the
got,
manager. Yeah, I
yeah,
think general manager.
he
Yeah.
like I remember like vividly watching that. And like you can go back and look at some of like the videos. He
Yeah.
was sweating bullets. He just had that deer in a headlight look on his face. And yes, sometimes the moment is too big for guys. And I'm convinced, and no disrespect to Calvin Schiraldi, I'm convinced in that moment somebody should have taken the visual cues and gone, all right, who do we got? Bruce Hurst in the bullpen warming up? Anybody at that point in time? Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, it does happen.
So and a lot of that is depending on how long do you stick with it. I said this last night jokingly. It's kind of like me pulling my driver out. It's terrible off the tee the first few holes. Do I keep it in the bag and just go 3-wood and go shorter but straighter, or am I going to try and fix it? Right? How long do you go with a guy? You bring up Schiraldi, it's a really good one. Do you remember Donnie Moore
Oh
with
gosh,
with California? So Donnie Moore pitched for a few different teams, but
yeah.
and God bless him because it got to him. It was so bad that unfortunately he left this earth. But Donnie Moore, he had that meltdown at home against, I believe it was Boston.
It was Dave Henderson.
Yeah, Dave Henderson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
Yeah. A couple comments. Let me see. I like what Tim said. Tim said, where is it? Hopefully they're enjoying the ride because we know they're overachieving. If I insulted the Tigers, so be it. We know it's the truth. Yes. I don't know. How could anybody, why would you get offended at that? Sometimes it happens.
yeah,
I
don't
would
think
much
there's any
rather be in this
reason.
position. Thank you. Yes.
But Tim later says he looked terrified. I don't know if he's referring to his previous text in Calvin Schiraldi or if he's referring to Jackson Jobe. I hope he's not referring to Jackson Jobe.
Alan added, because Alan brought this up about Jackson Jobe. I'm sure when we look back at it, it'll be a huge moment for his career, but it was just hard not to be critical of AJ in the moment. Dude, listen, Alan, I hope you understand this. I get it. Yeah. Like Shep, I don't want to speak for you. I think Shep gets it. I do get it. But sometimes you kind of have to take that step back and go, oh, I think it's great that he did that. And it didn't work out. But you know what? It's one of those things that, here comes that quote again, Shep, damned if you do, damned if you don't. This is indeed a rare occasion. Todd's chirping up. Hinch is managing an unconventional team in an unconventional way. With a stacked bullpen and strong hitters, consistency in pitching rotations and batting orders, it will win you more games over time. We can't win that way against stronger opponents, IBA, OPS, ERA. Hinch has to play the odds game on an out-by-out basis rather than by game or series. The one hitch with the approach is the mental side. Players have to have a short memory, and he has developed that as well.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I don't know if there is an opponent that has batting average, OPS, and ERA that stands in their way. Cleveland's ERA is really good, but they're not so strong offensively, and we know that firsthand. They've been really close games all year long. It is. He's right. It's a very unconventional team.
Sure.
In this sense, that you have to mix and match. And you just don't know where guys are going to be playing. Like Matt Vierling is playing third base in game 1. He's playing in right field in game 2. This is not AJ Hinch's Houston Astros. He and I used to talk about this. I said, he goes, I don't mind these types of teams. I kind of like it sometimes because, as a manager, it's quite challenging. And I said to him, don't kid yourself, though. You want what you had in Houston, where every day you pull into your parking spot at the ballpark, and on your lineup card, it reads Altuve at second, Correa at short, Bregman at third, Springer in center, Tucker or whomever in right, and you only have to worry about a left fielder, maybe a first baseman every once in a while, and catchers you're going to rotate for the most part anyway. So don't kid yourself. That's what he's like, oh, yeah. Who doesn't want everyday players?
Right.
Every manager wants that.
Todd, it's funny that you bring up, that was what I tweeted out when they responded to what happened in that 7th inning with the Andy Ibanez inning. And it reminded me so much. I've said this forever. I love Connor Cook. I love Connor Cook because he was a big, dumb dope that had zero memory. He would do he would make dumb throws, horrible interceptions, and you would sit there going, what is this guy doing? Are you serious? And it'd be like he'd go to the sideline, Shep, and he forgot about it 10 seconds later, and then he'd go slash your throat the next drive. And that's what made him such a good college quarterback, is he had no memory, because other guys let that stuff linger. John Joseph Harrington was a guy, whether he wants to admit it or not. John Joseph Harrington would make that throw, and you're like, well, it's time to go to the cider mill because I know what's happening here. And John Joseph Harrington would just, the whole house would fall down around him, right? And you have to have no memory. And that's the beautiful thing about this Tiger team right now. And Todd, I honestly, I tweeted that out yesterday. They have no memory. It's like, okay, that sucks. All right, so we're going to get this guy and we're going to get that guy on. And of course, one of the most clutch hitters in the history of mankind, Andy Ibanez, is going to come up and clear the bases. That's the beautiful thing about this team, Shep.
John Joseph Harrington. That's phenomenal. We sometimes forget that even the best of the best fail. Okay, not every game-winning drive. John Elway didn't lead every game-winning drive. Mariano Rivera blew games. Everybody has to remember the Miguel Cabrera where he hit so far into the netting at Yankee Stadium, and he was going, wow, right?
Yeah.
These things are bound to happen, right? You go with what you know is best if you're the manager, in the sense of the matchups and the type of pitcher that you have on the mound and the type of hitters who struggle with the types of pitches and the arsenal that he has. And that's, I think, what he was doing.
You bring up John Elway. You want to talk about a guy that completely changed the narrative and his legacy in the last 2 years of his career. I challenge people, Shep, I don't know if your kids did the same thing. My kids went through a Simpsons phase where they just watch old episodes of The Simpsons going back to the 90s. I can't tell you how many Simpson episodes made some crack about John Elway and the Denver Broncos choking in the big game. It is fascinating to me. And the guy goes out and wins 2 Super Bowls in a row, in particular the first one, the way he did it. And everybody's talking differently about him. It is amazing. He was literally the poster child for a gag. I mean, it's fascinating how that works, isn't it?
Wait a minute. I thought it was the second one, Sean, where he had the run in the helicopter. Wasn't it all about Terrell? Terrell Davis.
Yeah, that was the second
one.
Yeah,
right,
Terrell Davis was the first one. Yeah. And ended up being the MVP. Yep.
It's an interesting thought, because how do athletes and people in general, I think it's hard for us to change our minds. Somebody may like you and I, and somebody may not like you. Like us. If they don't like us, how do we get them to like us? It's hard. It's hard for people to say, okay, now I'm changing. Now I'm adjusting. Yes, they've done something. I think a guy like Bryson DeChambeau has done that. Oh, everybody hated that guy, right?
Yes.
Suddenly he starts doing YouTube videos with either a former president or with just a bunch of yokel locals. And everybody loves him. And he reaches the fans. Joey Harrington, John Joseph could not do that. But it's interesting that some guys have that ability to change the narrative. Yep. It takes something special to do that.
Got a few comments to read. Let me tell you about Legacy Partners first. Did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents. They provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. Legacy has helped our listeners by fixing the mistakes that other agents have made. They ask the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you. Most importantly, on these days, help save you some money. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're probably paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Give Legacy Partners a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, business insurance needs. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quote. Great guys, sports fans as well. Mike Krupinski. Nice to hear from you, Mike. Checked in. Gossage gave up 2 runs on 3 hits in the first postseason appearance in '78 for the Yankees. Game 3 of the ALCS. Yankees won the game 6-5. Allen said, I love this team more than the early 2010 teams because of the heart they have. They've defied all the odds. If they win the World Series, where does this team rank in all-time Detroit teams for you? My gosh, that's a let me go backwards. I think 2006 will always have a special place in people's hearts because of that which you just said. Nobody saw it coming. And then down the stretch, everybody thought they were going to collapse. And then everybody thought the Yankees were going to sweep them. So that will always have a special place in people's hearts. But here's the thing. It'll never be the same because now there's going to be expectations across the board. It's never going to be the same from this point moving forward. And I always remind people, Shep, that people forget 2006 to 2011, there were no playoffs. There were a lot of, okay seasons, but there were no playoffs. Boy, oh boy. Okay, I'll play Alan to your point. If they win the World Series, this might be Shep. I don't even want to say it, but other than the Lions winning a Super Bowl, this might be the most beloved team of all time. The whole grit, and we put our arms around them because nobody expected them. That whole vibe that you got maybe with the 2004 Pistons. This would be one of the most revered World Series wins ever.
Yeah, I was going to say that the 2004 Pistons, I would say the 97 Wings just because of it had been so long, right?
42,
and we saw them grow a little bit with this team. I do take a little bit of exception when somebody says, I love this team because they play with heart and the teams in the 2010s didn't. I think 2011, they played with a lot of heart. I think Brandon Inge played with a lot of heart. I think Alex Avila and Johnny Peralta played with a lot of heart on that team. Victor Martinez had 103 RBIs and batted .330, and some people thought he should have won the MVP. You're not just doing that without caring, right? I think this has just been a surprise. It's kind of like you said, the 2004 Pistons. That surprised everybody, especially in the finals, right?
Carlos Guillen with a dip that rivals a Legion dip, glaring at Weaver on that Sunday afternoon. Honest to God, it's one of my favorite memories. Just that glare that he gave him, Shep, and Weaver having the obligatory meltdown. Like the Tigers from that point on just went like that and ran away and hid from everybody.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah. And talk about a meltdown. That's the meltdown that you were referring to.
Oh, absolutely.
Weaver, right?
Yeah.
After that. Yeah.
Wonder if Elway is sending Christmas cards to Terrell Davis to this day for being a Bronco. Boy, was that team good. Jeez, oh, Pete. Who wins, KC or Yankees? Well, Eric, let's be honest. I know they're your Yankees, but the Central Division is the greatest division of all time. Maybe there's a reason why the White Sox lost 1,322 games this past season, Shep, because now we got 3 AL Central teams in the Final Four in the AL. No, I think the Yankees win. For what it's worth, I think the Yankees win.
Well, and I understand that, but look what Kansas City just did. I mean, they hold Baltimore to just 1 run in 2 games in Baltimore. And that's a really good Baltimore lineup, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's arguably, I don't think it's as good as Philly. It's probably not as good as the Dodgers, but it's really good. If we think it's the Yankees over the Royals, and I think Kansas City's going to have some good pitching in place. Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez, I'm all for. They're 2 guys who I absolutely love. You still have Rodon pitching for them, right? Garrett Cole should be good enough to go, I believe. I don't know, man. I wouldn't put it past Kansas City. I love the way they play. They play with youthful toughness and youthful exuberance, just like Detroit does.
Rogelio, who is a great baseball guy, if you don't follow the stuff that he does, Shep, I'm sure you know that. He said 2006 to me eliminated all the bad baseball I watched in the 90s. Those games in New York were so pressure-packed. I thought the dream would end. 2 moments jump out to me. Having Joel Zumaya literally break Alex Rodriguez's femur on that breaking ball. Do you remember that at bat, Shep? Was it the 7th inning?
I don't remember.
High leverage. Everybody thought that Zumaya was going to rear back and throw 103, mano a mano, and he threw 79 mile per hour garbage at A-Rod and literally broke his femur. It was awesome the way that because A-Rod's up there expecting what everybody else was expecting. And I will say this until my dying day, as fun as it was when Maglio hit the home run, and Shep, it landed right behind my son and I, that Sunday afternoon against the Yankees was magical. It's honest to goodness one of my favorite moments as a sports fan, to watch all those Yankee fans leave the park in the fifth inning when it was eighth inning. And then the spontaneous celebration where the guys went into the room and then came back out and celebrated with the fans. It was
Cool. Yeah.
It was magical. Absolutely magical. Rogelio, was it a curve? It was. I just remember he dropped like 20 miles off the pitch. Like he threw heat at him and then came back with 79. And Shep, you've seen it 1,000 times. He buckled. It looked like he broke his femur. It was, loved every second of it. What do you think about this series, though, Shep? By the next time you and I are together, the series will already had a couple games under their belt. Cleveland is a team, whether you like them or not, you have to give them a tip of the cap. They're doing something right, but they haven't had playoff success. How do you look at this one?
Well, we know Cleveland beat them 7 of the 13 games, but 5 were, I believe, in extra innings, or one-run games, rather. 5 were one-run games, 2 were extra innings. Detroit actually outscored them. There's no Shane Bieber on that team, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's Tanner Bybee, but there's no Shane Bieber on that team. Look, Jose Ramirez there is an excellent player. Josh Naylor's got some good pop in his bat. Cleveland deserves a lot of respect for what they did. I think they're overlooked. I think the two teams this year in baseball who didn't get much respect, if any at all, were Cleveland and Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because they don't have high payrolls. They don't have high-profile players. Like Christian Yelich is hurt. So there's your high-profile player. I still don't think Jose Ramirez gets nearly enough credit. It's hard to pick against the Tigers, Sean, with the way they're playing. And this is not – there's too many times we get emotional with sports where we just want to think with our heart. You got to think with your head, okay? And I don't mind the matchup one bit. I like that Detroit has, that pitching deal. I'm really worried if they get a lead and they're down the stretch, because you're not beating Class A. So as much as we love Tarek Skubal, and rightfully so, Emmanuel Clase is probably his closest American League competitor for the Cy Young. Skubal will win it, but you got to give him some love because he's unbelievable. Like, he's unhittable, especially for Detroit. So I'll take the Tigers, I think, in an extended series. Yeah, longer series.
I kind of feel the same way. All right, one more thing before we get out of here. Let's talk about Lindsey Broadwell. When it's time to get yourself a new house, whether you're buying, selling, both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? Alakazoo. There she is, Lindsey Broadwell. Your house is probably
you're Bo Brisky, man. You're a warlock.
Say his name and he shall appear. Lindsey grew up on the mean streets of Northville and has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business, and when it's time to move, friend Lindsey and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, even first-time buyer, doesn't matter. Make sure you contact Lindsey. BroadwellHomes.com. She will help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Nobody gave that team a chance against the Yankees. Tim, you are absolutely right. Everybody thought it was a sweep. A sweep. Yep. Everybody. Yep. One more thing. I know Hinch is the Lord, but what do we make of the Job move? I thought it was a terrible mistake that didn't bite us. We talked about it early. Yeah. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. If it worked, we'd all be talking about what an absolute genius he was. Yep. Like that. That just
did not have a problem with it whatsoever. I didn't think he looked overwhelmed. I thought there was weak contact. I thought there were 3 plays that should have been made and weren't. And I would put him in that position yet again. I think it's about stuff in the matchup. If you're not going to pitch him, why is he on the roster? You're not going to get, in all likelihood, you're not getting 6-0, 7-0 games where you can get his feet wet in postseason play. He's got really good stuff. And my question has always been, if not him, then who? That's all.
Yep. All right, Shep, have a great weekend. What do you got going on this weekend? Anything to chat about?
I'm really looking forward to watching MSU tomorrow against Oregon. See how Michigan fares against Washington. The Lions with a bye week sucks, but it gives you a chance to dive into everybody else. and then measure them against those teams. So that's my weekend. How about yours?
Going up to Michigan Tech tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Always.
Are
love
you
going up
really?
there. Yeah, I'm gonna. Wayne State has Michigan Tech noon game on Saturday.
You drive there?
Yes, I love
Oh
it.
my
I don't,
gosh,
Shep. You know what? It's 8 hours. I love it, especially
It's
this
the
time of year. It's like
it's the end of the earth.
it is. It is.
Oh my
I'm
God.
actually going to try to get up there in time. I would hope that you would appreciate this. Calumet and Houghton are playing in high school football, and I'm going to
cool.
try to get up there in time to catch that game. So
That's cool. The fall colors up there, unbelievable, right?
I know.
Do
it's
you
incredible.
drive with somebody? Do you have who do you drive
Yeah.
with?
We usually have a big crew with us, but we only have a couple with us, like the SID, sometimes, the AD and things like that, but only a couple are coming, just some of the crew. It's better than being on the bus. No disrespect to the coaches and the players. I'd rather drive up myself. And I think most
Absolutely.
people agree with that. You know what I mean? So I love it.
It is amazing. For as long as it takes you to get to Michigan Tech, you could fly to Italy.
Yeah. But
But
seriously,
hey, it is beautiful country up there. There's
I know
doubt.
a guy who once made it home in 7 hours and 21 minutes. So I'm not going to say his name, but he once made it home in 7 hours and 21 minutes. So
Wow,
it
that's pretty
can,
damn good.
it can
So
be.
are you driving up and back in the same day?
No, we're going up, leaving
Thank God.
tomorrow, spending the night Friday night, and then when the game's over at around 4:00, we'll take off. If I'm back by midnight, it's all good.
That's
It's all
cool.
good. So
Well, have
yeah.
a safe trip, buddy, and a good call.
All right, bud. We'll see you on Monday.
Sounds great.
He's Matt Shepard. I'm Sean Belegian. Todd, thank you. Thanks to you guys.
Thanks,
See you.
Todd.
Bye.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Belegian. Executive produced by Sean Belegian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.